Hey everyone, it's Fletch. I'm Northeast Regional Director at NENA, the 911 Association. We're here out in Clearwater, Florida at the Standards and Best Practices Conference, and I'm here with the working group chair from the IRI committee, Jeremy Demar. Welcome.
Pleasure to be here.
What is the IRR committee? Let's start there.
IRI, the Incident Related Imagery Working Group.
Okay.
Yes.
And what's that about? Because you're the one that started that.
Yeah, it's it's grown exponentially. I mean, when I first did the research on this in graduate school back in 2017, I didn't imagine for a minute that it would manifest into this thing that it is today. So when Brad Flanagan, who Brad and Michelle co-chair Future Think, Michelle Potts, approached me about working on committee work relative to incident-related imagery, I was all for it. I mean, I'd done a lot of research on it in grad school, as I mentioned earlier, and published some other documents as well to kind of support that. And now this effort of the working group is really going to work on developing standards and policy relative to incident-related imagery.
But you don't have to go out and get your master's degree, do your thesis on a topic, and publish in order to start a working group.
No.
That's the route you took, just because that's the route.
It was a great opportunity at the time, and we could probably do a separate session on the importance of that particular program for
anybody. And you're a glutton for punishment.
Well, yeah. I mean, I like to get in there and get my hands dirty, but this is great because our group, of which you're a part of it as well.
Yes, I am.
I think we've got probably between 60 and 70 participants from all walks of life, from the public safety side of things, from the private sector side. So we're getting a unique perspective from all sides to try to further this effort.
So what's involved in getting a working group started brand new? A lot of people join existing working groups. Some have been out there for years and years. Some are brand new. Just go through the process of what you did to get started with the working group.
So it's really wasn't quite as challenging as I thought it was going to be. I mean, working with Sandy Dyer and then, of course, Gary Bell and Jenna Streeter. I mean, we kind of put all these things together. I had never actually chaired. I participated in working groups with NENA before, but never actually chaired or co-chaired. So Sandy was extremely helpful in helping us get the work page set up, and ultimately after that we had to kind of go back and forth with the folks that wanted to participate, explain to them a little bit how to use the interface. But once you're in that workspace, that NENA workspace, and you're working with it on a somewhat regular basis, it's pretty straightforward.
Now, when you brought your topic in, it was a very complex topic, and your group happened to end up with a bunch of subgroups. Now, not every working group has that, but because of the complexity, you got a lot of different subgroups. You kind of have a little vacation right now. To some degree, you have to manage the circus, but you have a lot of foot soldiers doing a lot of groundwork.
Yeah, so when we first, going back, we've been at this effort now, I think just under a year. In fact, it was a conversation I'd had with you and then supported by Jenna, who had said that we really want to try to make this into like maybe an 18-month initiative. You know, you spend a good deal of time kind of getting things set up, and then towards the end is where everything starts to come together. Yes, we're at that point now where the subgroups are working exceptionally well. There's really good progress being made. In the very beginning, though, I reached out to Terry Goswick from Carrollton, Texas, from NTECC, and because his center had already operationalized incident-related imagery, I wanted to make sure that we had somebody co-chairing this effort with me that was actually actively participating in this technology. So it's great to have Terry there. James Volan, also from NTEC, is our administrative or our technical editor.
He's the guy doing the work.
Well, yeah. And I give him kudos because I think both Terry and James, this is the first time they've been through this before. Like I said, I've done it as a participant, but never at the co-chair level. But great folks to work with, and what do they say? Many hands makes light work. But back to your point, we're at that point now where we've divided up into subgroups. We initially identified, I think, 7 to 8 areas that we wanted to cover. I think we limited that down or slimmed it down to about 6 groups, and now we have 5 groups actively working in their individual space. One of our subgroups is in what we call hibernation mode, so probably in the next couple months we'll go back and revisit their work. But yeah, we have 5 work groups chugging away.
You know, and I think this is a great example because IRI is an incredibly complex topic. It's never been part of public safety before. So the number of work groups that you had to bring into this stretched from legal to technical, I mean, across the whole chasm of the technology. And I mean, literally, you're running 5 work groups at this point.
Well, I'm not. My subgroup leaders are doing that. I guess I'm one of 2 ringleaders, right? Terry and I, again, co-chairing the effort. But a big part of what's going on right now, and for anybody that's thinking about either, first of all, I would absolutely encourage you to be a part of a working group. But certainly if you're thinking about co-chairing it, once you get to this point, I hate to say that Terry and I are on autopilot, but we're kind of on autopilot. We have monthly meetings of the entire working group where we get updates from the subgroup leaders. Folks that participate in the individual subgroups are able to kind of weigh in and chime in too. But for the most part right now, I think once you get to this point, we're really trying to push and support the efforts of the subgroups to really kind of get things started towards creating this ANSI standard. And that's what this is ultimately going to end up being, an ANSI accredited standard for the handling of incident-related imagery in the PSAP.
And because of that, a little more care is going into that, because ANSI standards require certain things, and you don't want to spend 2 years working on a standard and then have to go back and revisit. We just went through this with the 988. Right? So Jenna Streeter was on that. I was on that. You've got a few people that were involved with that. We've been through the fire and the gauntlet, so we know where the potholes are.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say it's not a learning process. I mean, I think with each working group, full subgroup meeting that we have. In fact, this most recent one we had last week, and I was very encouraged by the progress of the group. So you explained to your participants early on that, and I certainly didn't coin the phrase, but it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? We're not trying to get to the finish line before anybody else. We want a quality, well-researched, well-written document that center leadership across the country can use to develop policy and procedure for the handling of incident-related imagery. And the great thing is we've got folks from the operational side, folks from the administrative side, private sector industry partners contributing. So, but everybody's just, that common goal is to produce a very inclusive, very comprehensive document that covers all the gamuts.
And one of the things that I hammered home, and I'm glad I did when we started, was right away, immediately, we created the round 2 bucket. And we said, this is in the first cut. Yeah, that's great. And guess what? That's going to be in the round 2. And I think that, instead of having to put that stuff off towards the end because you want to finish something, you've already got the next phase planned, so you can better steer through with your phase 1 content.
And we've referenced that point as well with folks that are actively a part of this. And I said, look, in fact, our most recent strategy, and again, you're on the working group, so I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. Our most recent strategy has really been...
Yeah, but tell me, because I don't really pay attention.
I'll repeat it for you.
I don't really pay attention.
I'll repeat it for you for the benefit of the viewers. But we come back to the group and we say, look, the preliminary list that we put together for each of the individual subgroup areas were pretty extensive. There were probably 25 to 30 points on each list.
Oh, yeah.
There's absolutely no way that we are going to be... We don't have the time to get through that. We don't have the people to put something like... So what we really asked people to do is, hey, identify the top 3 to 5 areas that you really want to make sure are part of the standard. And actually you, and again, I credit you and Jenna with a lot of this, because you reached out to us and said, look, don't try to be everything to everyone. Come up with a good, solid baseline document. Park some of the other things if you really feel you can't get to them. And then we can always come back and revisit them afterwards. So that's really what we've conveyed to the rest of the group is this doesn't need to be 1,000 pages. It needs to be a good baseline document for us to start with, and then it'll probably get revisited year after year.
The problem with technology is it's moving at a lightning pace, and if you take a complex topic like IRI that's touching everything because you've got nothing to start with, you're never going to finish that document.
Right.
You will be so outdated by the time you're ready to publish. What you're going to publish is going to be worthless. Therefore, why bother?
And there's people that are, I mean, the minute you start talking about the fact that you're on a NENA working group developing a standard, especially when people are interested in this technology, and to your point, it's rapidly evolving, it's ever changing. Folks are looking forward to the fact that they're going to have some kind of a guidance document on how to deal with these things, because frankly, a lot of folks, because it is so new, because there are so few centers across the country that are using it, it's so new, they're looking for policies and ideas and procedures on how to deal with this. So yeah, it's hypercritical that we get this done in a good amount of time.
Yeah, and I think it's really critical for our public, our private sector partners to get involved. This is an opportunity to get involved with the work groups, define the standards that you're going to be building to, and have some input on what they look like and how they operate. It's a great opportunity to be involved in the industry. I've been an EMP for over 20 years. My first involvement was with MLTS.
Yeah.
And that's my passion, and that's what I do.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So it's a great way to get involved with the industry, really kickstart your career, and drive a focus into what's passionate to you.
And depending on when this particular episode that Mark is recording airs, we are still looking for folks to be a part of the initiative. So if this is something that you're interested in doing, whether you're at SBP where we are now recording this, or you just happen to be on the NENA website and you're looking for a way to get involved, we're continuously looking for new and interested players to be a part of this process. So we'd love to have you.
Well, since you kept all your clothes on and didn't cough and sneeze, and I think we could do this with very little, if any, editing.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was hoping it's gone well so far.
Thank you for behaving.
Tomorrow's a new day. We'll see.
Knowing you for so many years, it was really,
It could have gone any direction.
Could have gone, and with me, it could have gone in many directions.
I'm always prepared for that.
Well, listen, Jeremy, thank you very much. Thanks for bringing this technology forward, because I think IRI is really amazing as far as its applicability to next generation 911. It exercises the network, it exercises the technology, it exercises the whole being of what next generation 911 is all about. Situational awareness, detailed information.
Yep. Real-time
information in the hands of public safety, dynamically in real time.
An absolute game changer for 911 in so many ways.
When you think about, we're still in many parts of the country operating off of MF touch tones.
Yeah.
To try to convey a location.
Yep.
And here we're talking about remote control video and all the cool stuff.
And that's why I tell people as well, and when I'm doing presentations, whether it be a conference or situations like
this.
Do
people attend those when you?
Not really. No. Usually it's I've got you outside trying to drag people in, but no. I'm the few people that do show up. I generally tell them, I'm like, look, we don't ever ask anybody to operationalize this technology, blindly, but minimally be willing to have a conversation about it. And I think this one's super important because, again, it's a select few centers across the country that have actually done this and are working with the technology. But the only way to really decide effectively and educated-wise as to whether or not it's a viable decision for you is to learn about it. So become a part of the working group. If you don't become a part of the working group, read some white papers, read some of the trade information about it. There's more and more out there about IRI, so it's important to educate yourself.
And as this goes through the standards process, it will go out for public review, and anybody can read it, and anybody can comment on this.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll get plenty of comments.
I'm sure we will.
It is a hot topic. Absolutely.
From people that we know well.
Yeah.
I can start naming names right now.
Yeah, we won't.
But we won't.
But we know. They're up here.
We know. Matter of fact, they're here at this
conference. Yeah, they actually are. Yeah. Maybe some of the same people they created the disclaimer for. I don't know. The code of conduct. I don't know.
Okay. Before we get in trouble.
Now you're going to have to edit.
Jeremy, thanks so much for sitting down. This has been great. This is how people can get involved with NENA. This is what the organization is about. Jeremy and myself, longtime members, and we're active in this organization because I think I can honestly say this is good for the industry from us and good for our careers to us, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we are doing what we do today because of what we do here.
Yeah, and even though I'm not as old as you, I still consider myself one of the older guys in the profession now, but I think this technology, all of this technology, I mean, the AI things that we've been talking about here at SBP, things going on with transcription, translation, all those things. I mean, these are all things that when I started back in, I started my 911 career in like 2003. None of this was around. I mean, we were using those big thick, those big thick books with the phone number, not phone books, but those things. And we were lucky if we had a Google search. I mean, to think about where the job is at today and the tools that are available to folks, they're exciting times.
When I started dispatching, it was 1980. That was 45 years ago. And I had a 10-button key system telephone and 4 radio channels.
I was 9 years old.
Shut up. Now we're definitely going to edit.
Left on the cutting room floor.
Left on the cutting room floor. No, but I mean, I had no technology. My CAD, I had a 4x4 CAD.
Yeah.
You know what that is?
A 4x4 CAD?
Yeah.
I don't think I do.
It's a 4x4 sheet of paper
there you
on
go.
the wall behind
Not
me.
8.5 by 11.
With a map of the town.
The center I used to work for up in upstate New York, they told me about days when they used to have tracks that ran around and you'd fill out this card and drop it on the track, and sometimes they told me if it was a hot job, they'd light it on fire. Sometimes they put ketchup and mustard on it. All the shenanigans of dispatch rolled into one.
Well, listen, thanks again. I appreciate you sitting down. Thanks for starting up this work group. It's a lot of effort on your part. When you work in the private sector, like we both do, thanks to our companies that support our efforts here, it's really important for that as well. And got some new private sector companies coming in that I invited down to this conference. So I think they're starting to see more value in a NENA membership, which is good because they're part of the total solution.
Yeah, and it's absolutely a team effort. I mean, you thank me, but I thank the entire working group. I mean, 60, almost 70 people that are putting in. I mean, they're doing multiple meetings a month, and you're more active in a lot of that than I am in a lot of ways because you're on a couple of the subgroups, I think. So, but it's a critical piece of technology that we're dealing with right now. Folks want to be able to have policy and procedure created for it, and that's why we've got such good participation. So kudos to you and the other subgroup members for the work you're doing.
Yep. And you don't have to be a NENA member to be a member of the work groups.
Right.
You don't have to be an ENP.
Nope.
Although ENPs are welcome.
We will always encourage it, sure.
Proud to be an ENP.
Likewise.
And, that's about it.
All right.
All right. We'll wrap it up, my friend. Thank you very much for sitting down with me.
All right. Good conversation.
Take care.
Thanks, Fletch.